like I was saying before, I love to give context for how we've gotten to meet a lot of our guests and speakers here. So Nick is the founder of ZIKI Kitchens, which is this incredible modular kitchen and restaurant in Austin. And they're completely seed oil free. They have this awesome bright pink truck. And I probably found out about it like 6 months ago. And I'm not kidding. I've probably been to the restaurant. Harry and I have been to the restaurant like 100 times in 6 months, because it's nice to be able to know like, hey, I can actually go to a restaurant, have delicious food that's actually seed oil free, so you don't have to worry about cooking all the time. But I think it's safe to say that you guys are really revolutionizing the restaurant industry, and you have an amazing heritage being Greek American. I know your parents own Greek restaurants, and that's kind of what led you into it. But let's dive into your story a little bit more, how you founded ZIKI, where you come from, and I think that's a great starting point, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. So Nick Nanakos, founder and CEO of ZIKI. Basically, my backstory is from New York originally, come from a huge restaurant entrepreneurial background. Grandfather immigrated from Greece, started with a hot dog stand in Manhattan. Rest of the family got into the restaurant industry as well. So we've just been lifelong restaurateurs, steakhouses, diners, cafes, et cetera. And my mother actually owned multiple Greek restaurants in New York called ZIKI, which is, the iconic sauce of the Greek cuisine. So that's where the name ZIKI comes from. So basically, growing up, it was like from 5 years old, I was either in the restaurant with my mother at all times or on construction sites with my father. So eventually went to school in Philadelphia, was studying finance and real estate. I loved land and numbers, but I hated corporate. And so I started my first company there, which eventually evolved into ZIKI. Ended up doing really well, dropped out of school, moved to Austin. When I moved to Austin, that's when ZIKI was born. And basically, the vision of ZIKI, my vision is to create the most significant company to ever exist in food. And so ZIKI is a fast casual restaurant, Greek Mexican fusion that cooks with 0 seed oils, vegetable oils, or soy. Everything we cook in is grass-fed butter, animal-based ghee. We use grass-fed milk, grass-fed yogurt. So really back to basics, fundamental approach to ingredients. We work with the best local Texas farms, huge focus on agriculture. Our smash burger is a grass-fed Wagyu beef patty. And so, just really opting for the best ingredients. I think what's unique about our model is the scale. So we raised our seed round from Elon Musk's core investors. They did a $5 million investment. This is the same group known as GigaFund. They put over $1 billion into SpaceX. And the reason why, you might think like, wow, it just seems like a restaurant concept. But what we do is unique in that we have this factory. And from the factory, we manufacture these modular restaurants. And we can make 20 of them per month. And we can do it at a speed that nobody else in the world can do. So we actually manufacture the restaurant, find the real estate, put them on site, and run the ops. So that's how we scale the brand. So, again, vision is fastest growing restaurant company on the planet. We intend to have thousands of these things across the globe. It's a multi-decade conquest. And so, yeah.
It's an amazing overview. I'm gonna have to give a round of applause for that overview. I love it, man. Your passion and energy and enthusiasm is so inspiring to Harry and I. But I think one of the things you touched on is it's not a food truck, it's a modular kitchen. What are the two what are the differences between those two things that people should know? Because people just assume that ZIKI is a food truck, but it's not.
Yeah, so just people, kind of by default equate it to a food truck. They're large, they almost look like large containers in a way. They're more like food trailers, but they're super sleek and modern and futuristic, really bright pink color. Right across the front, it says, no seed oils, no soy, no vegetables. So our whole food philosophy is plastered on every unit. We opened up 10 locations in 7 months in Austin. Next market's Miami, then we're gonna do Dallas, then we're gonna do Nashville. So we will be in Nashville soon. It's one of my favorite cities.
We need one in Nashville.
But it's not a food truck. It doesn't have an engine. It doesn't drive around, but we can move them very easily. But they're modular restaurants because they're large. They're 32 by 8. So basically from like that wall, almost to that wall, 256 square feet. They're the size of a regular kitchen's, restaurant kitchens. They're the size of a restaurant's kitchen, basically, right? But it's such a lean business model. So, we can, again, make 20 of them per month. If Chipotle wants to open a restaurant, they spend $1.2 million on average just to open the store. Per unit, we build them for less than $90,000 a piece. Wow. And each one can do, north of 1.5 million in revenue. So the payback periods, the cost to produce them, how fast we can do it is just like unprecedented. And, you know, again, they're not food trucks. Just because they're outdoors, we set up like a seating area, benches, awnings, and everything like that. The only difference from us and a restaurant is the fact that there's not a walk-in dine-in experience. Mm-hmm. That's it.
One of the things that you touched on is the food philosophy behind ZIKI, which is arguably maybe the most powerful part of your whole mission, is that you don't compromise on ingredients at all. There's no soy. You guys are cooking with grass-fed butter and tallow and 0-acre oil, and you're getting grass-finished beef from farms and all these incredible things. I'm just curious, that food philosophy, was that always part of ZIKI's mission, or is that something that developed when you started noticing maybe customer demand for it too?
It was not. Actually, basically, when we started out, we only opened ZIKI like a little bit over a year ago. The first location opened February 1st, 2022. And I had no idea about any of this seed oil stuff, none at all. But I started following Paul Saladino, Carnivore MD, who actually just came to ZIKI a couple weeks ago.
You guys made him a great spread when he came to town.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I hope we get that next time we come.
We'll hook it up. We'll make it happen. So I started following him on a personal level. And then in month one that we opened, we were using canola, like regular whatever. And I really pretty much became obsessed with his content, and I was eating ZIKI every single day, multiple times a day, multiple times a week, of course. And so I was like, okay, we have to immediately change everything and like opt for the best ingredients. So within the first month of operations, we switched, got rid of all canola oils, started frying everything in beef tallow, cooking everything on the grill in grass-fed butter. And it was an important decision because the whole thing here is, well, what about the vegans and what about the vegetarians? And you know what? The way I've gotten here to this point has just been by being super contrarian and taking an approach that nobody else was willing to do. And also, I think that whole crowd, and maybe there's vegans and vegetarians here. Just be careful.
Are there any vegans and vegetarians here? Raise your hand.
Don't answer. The Meat Mafia is going to put a hit on you. But I think they're widely overrepresented in the mainstream narrative of food, right? So everyone was like, well, once you put beef tallow in your fryers, you're gonna lose all the vegans. And I was like, okay, well, it is what it is. What we've seen is every single month a massive increase in sales. It's a hockey stick curve. Honestly speaking, we haven't had a month that's ever been lower than, and so it's just a massive awakening. And we watch people come that are super aware of the whole anti-seed oil movement, right? And I don't think it's not really a political thing. It's basically like the seed oil party and the anti-seed oil party. That's the politics here. But we've seen this massive awakening of people that are super informed about it, bringing people that have no idea about it into it. And then people that just walk by and say, no seed oils, what does that mean? And Googling it, I'm always there and I watch it. So it's fascinating. And like the earlier, session that we had today in the morning, I forget which gentleman it was, but he said he's super optimistic. I feel the same way because I see it firsthand. I mean, we have tens of thousands of orders being served per month. Mm-hmm. And that wouldn't, be the case if people weren't awakening to this, and it's growing. So yeah, super optimistic about it.
Yeah. What's amazing about your mission at ZIKI too, is I would imagine as a business owner, there's probably this conflict of principles thinking, okay, I know that morally I should be opting for the best possible ingredients, but at the same time, you're balancing being a business owner. The margins are really difficult. Yet at the same time, by you doing that and opting to not skimp at all and do the best possible ingredients, customers are obsessed with ZIKI. It's like people are flocking to your trucks all the time. It's like there's a reason why Harry, a bunch of our friends, we want to go to ZIKI because we know you actually put your money where your mouth is and you don't skimp on ingredients at all. So I'm sure that's an incredible feeling, and customers are rewarding you for that too.
Yes, exactly. So all the other restaurants, what they're doing is they're prioritizing their profits by, serving the worst oils, the most poisonous ingredients to you as a consumer at the expense of your health. And what we're doing is we're prioritizing your health by serving the highest quality ingredients at the expense of our own profit margin. Mm-hmm. So willing to spend more money on ingredients because it's better for people. And then you have to think of creative ways to, offset that, right? So that's what's very significant about what ZIKI's doing, and the cost to produce a restaurant and how quickly we can do it. And the fact that Sweetgreen, for example, has 20 people staffed on a given shift. We have 2, but we're doing the same revenue. And, look, these restaurants know about this stuff. Like I met not the CEO, the co-founder of Sweetgreen. I told him, I said, look, like you guys have had tremendous success, but why are you using seed oils? And he's like, we've had the conversation, but it's expensive. And I'm like, you guys are a publicly traded company and we're in year 1 of operations and we're doing it. So you can certainly do it. They just don't want to do it because it's more expensive for them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And also they're trying to appease everybody, right? Like they have a big target audience of, vegetarians and vegans and everything like that. So
I feel like Sweetgreen is just the epitome of fake health food. It's just rabbit food with canola oil on top of it, essentially.
Yeah,
when I would
100%.
eat it in New York, I would be starving afterwards too.
Yeah, I always use the example. I say like Sweetgreen's just very boring to me. It feels like walking into a library, and when you're at ZIKI, it feels like you're at a nightclub. So
Yeah, it actually does. You guys have music
but a non-alcoholic nightclub because you guys don't drink.
Yeah. One of the things about you as well is that you come from multi-generations of restaurant owners, Greek restaurants from the Northeast. Is the seed oil movement like that actually that pervasive with food trucks and restaurants and things like that?
No, I really think we're pioneering this, right? Like I think at the end of the day, we have the means and the vision to scale the largest restaurant company on the planet because we can produce so many of these things. That's thousands of them, way faster than McDonald's could have reached their number of locations. And that's the beautiful part about what we're doing from the mission standpoint is re-architecting the toxic food system and providing these ingredients at the largest accessible scale to people. So I would say we are truly pioneering that at the restaurant level.
What's crazy is that McDonald's used to actually cook with beef tallow in their fries until the 90s. Do a lot of you know that story? And then they literally got off of tallow and everyone noticed it immediately in the taste, and now they're essentially poisoning their customers. I'm curious, are you encouraged at all by, you mentioned Sweetgreen, are there any other big players or restaurants in the area or in their space that have reached out to maybe try and learn from you because they're like, wow, Nick, maybe we could cook with tallow or grass-fed butter or ghee or anything like that? It's
just the local community, mom and pop, brick and mortars that genuinely care, but they might have 1 or 2 locations, right? But there's no movement on it from Chipotle, Sweetgreen, Cava, and all the major players that you think about. Shake Shack, same thing, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. But it's amazing everything that you've accomplished in the first year. So I would place a bet that these players will be reaching out in the next 2 to 3 years. And it's also customer demand drives a lot of this stuff. If you're not asking your restaurants to cook in these oils or fats, they're not going to do it.
Right. That's exactly right. I think the shift in the market is going to force them to eventually make the change because the movement is growing so quickly and it's really become so powerful. They're really not going to have a choice. It's like when kale was the hottest thing however many years ago and everyone was talking about kale and like now nobody really cares about kale. But it's just like some of these products, it doesn't make sense. Like you think of a company, Just Egg. The name is Just Egg.
It's disgusting.
And you pick it up and it's like this batter with 17 ingredients. And then I feel like, what just an egg is? Like just an egg. So it's like so weird, and beyond meat. It's definitely beyond meat because there's like 80 ingredients in that too.
Yeah.
So I hope that, and here's the thing. That's one of our advantages is that we are being bold in taking the no seed oil approach to scale. But it's not like a secretive thing. Like I have encouraged the Sweetgreen co-founder, you guys should stop, right? Because that's just a better thing for everyone in general. I'm not trying to protect that. Like they asked Elon, for example, hey, if another electric car company comes along and surpasses Tesla, how are you going to feel about that? And he was like, great. Amazing, because that's just better for humanity overall, right? So that was the whole purpose of starting Tesla, the transitioning the world to sustainable energy, right? So that's their mission. In our case, that's what we're trying to do with just the evisceration of seed oils.
I love it. And I know you mentioned that you guys have very proudly raised over $5 million from GigaFund. You're about to be in the process of raising more money now. What do you say to an investor that's like, Nick, I love your energy. I love everything you guys are doing, but the restaurant industry is a very difficult business. You guys are paying more on ingredients than competitors. Can you guys really compete? Because I know you get asked that a lot.
Yeah, look, it's historically one of the toughest industries ever, right? Enormous failure rate, operates on razor thin margins. The average restaurant margins are 5 to 6%. In our case, it's over 30, just because of how efficient we've operated and the technology that we've used. Most recently, we just acquired a kitchen robotics company, really awesome. This company made a robot that can make 300 rice bowls per hour, right? So the plan, I'm not one of those like automation freaks that wants to eliminate humans. Basically ZIKI's an intelligent theater where humans and robots share the stage. And so I think there's, a world where it works together and it's better, because at the end of the day, if we can run an efficient business, then it allows for us to purchase the highest tier ingredients for you. So we have to run an efficient business. So yeah, of course, there's a lot of skeptics in anything, but you have to be bold in anything you do. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs in here. This event has been actually very important for me, very inspiring. There's a lot of people in this room that know way more about me, about health, nutrition, diet, and just even the fitness folks here, and your bodies reflect that, right? Like, you guys look amazing. And so it's inspiring to be in the room. I'm the epitome of it. I'm 27 years old. Right? I just turned 27. I've been doing this since I was 19. And I've invested everything into this business, dropped out, no backup plan, did not come from a family with money at all. In fact, it was the opposite, always struggled financially, just really chip on my shoulder, had to go and prove, and really with the ultimate goal being of taking care of my parents and my family, right? It's just that hunger that you have. But it's I'm somebody that's in that moment where it's business and health, where you're constantly, so I'll share one really interesting personal story, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I don't even think you know about this.
We have 9 minutes, so you're good.
Oh, excellent. I don't even think you know about this, but this is a pretty mind-blowing story, and I think that health has become more of a focus now than ever before in my life. So in December of 2022, so a few months ago, I was dating a girl at the time, and her profession was being a dental hygienist. So basically, every day she's in the mouth, cleaning, looking for things, and right, it's just always in the mouth. So I was on FaceTime with her, and we were casually talking, and I was, getting ready to end the call, and I said, yeah, by the way, I've had this weird feeling on my tongue, and I don't know, maybe a canker sore or whatever. And she was she freaked out. What do you mean? How long has it been there? And I said, I don't know, close to a year. Freaked out, right? We're booking appointments, and called everybody, booked appointments. She books an appointment. I go to oral surgeon. She looks at it, he goes, I'm not really sure. We're going to do an excision, cut out a small piece and send it to a lab. Sure enough, comes back, it's cancer in the tongue. And, total perspective shift on life, health, super stressful period, multiple months uncertainty. They're look, that's cancer in your tongue. We don't know how it got here. It's honestly, it seems like a case of bad luck. But we don't know if it has spread to your lungs, head, neck, and you're gonna have to undergo chemo, and hearing horror stories. And I'm Googling images of, tongue cancer, and you're seeing people with their full tongues removed and parts of their jaws removed. I'm what the, you're 26 years old, now you're actually confronted with death being a real possibility, but very significant. One in particular brought me even closer to my faith in God during that moment. But here's the crazy, and long story short, fast forward, have the surgery, completely removed, good, tongue's perfect, and less than 1% chance of it coming back. So good. So amazing, but here's what's crazy. 10 months before I was diagnosed, what did I make the logo of ZIKI? The tongue.
Wow.
10 months before I was diagnosed with it. And it was every day on the hat, on every napkin, on every cup we've sold. Our billboard in downtown Austin, I'm seeing the tongue 1,000 times. Why the tongue? Where did that come from? Divine, of course, right? It was intentionally placed there. It was there the whole time. It was how insane is that, right? So you can't tell me anything other than the fact that was God, and that was intentionally placed there for that point in time. And whatever, it was there the whole time. You can't movie script that. People would think I made that story up. It happened to be the tongue. So, but how I get to the story is health is more important and significant to me than ever before. Diet, exercise. During that time from being diagnosed to the months that I went through everything, I gained 40 pounds. And now I'm on like the ascent of getting back to where I need to be from a health standpoint. So like what Blokes is doing, that's great. I'm definitely gonna, collab with those guys. Yep. And just like really inspiring to be around all you folks, because you guys are just so clearly passionate and just, like in it. And it was find your tribe that was said earlier, and it's great. So incredible stuff.
Dude, I appreciate you actually having the vulnerability to share a story like that, because I think it's a really good reminder. I think a number of us in this room have maybe had health scares or things that you thought were a really bad event, but it's God's plan, and a lot of good actually will come from those bad events, where it's like now to actually put your health first. Like it doesn't matter if you raise $1 billion if your health is in the shitter. So yep. It's just a really powerful story, and it's great vulnerability. My last question for you is I just wanted to change topics really quick, because you have an amazing mindset and perspective on building businesses and entrepreneurship. And there's a number of people in here that are building out companies and their own businesses. And I'm just curious, what advice do you have for someone that's just in the thick of it? They're building something out. They're maybe just starting to make money. They're not profitable yet, and they kind of feel like they're in a fight right now. What advice would you give to someone that wants to make that leap and build something incredible?
It takes an insane amount of resilience. It is very, very hard. Make no mistake, I'm not exaggerating. I've been doing it for, going on 8 years, from 19 years old. I dropped out of school. I have no backup plan. Like I was broke forever until finally we hit that point, right? That like, it's like drilling for oil. You make the right calculations, and if you just keep going, eventually, boom, it's going to burst, and you're going to just enjoy the fruits of your labor. But you're always on the brink of death when you're running a company. It's very hard. I mean, it's like you have your up months and then your down months. It's always figuring it out. So you have to be prepared. And, I would say how everything that I do is intuition based when it comes to hiring, firing, decisions. Trust your intuition. Have faith, because when you do get confronted with something that you've never before been confronted with, you have to tap into something deeper. You have to. You have to enter a new realm. So you have to find that spiritual component too. It's very important. Some of you find the spiritual component in the sauna. Some of you find it from prayer. Regardless, find that spiritual component, because you're going to need it. And it's very hard, but be decisive, because decisiveness is a superpower. Decide fast. The best decisions are made quickly, and when we change our minds slowly, not the other way around.
I love it, man. Does anyone feel like they just drank 5 cups of coffee after listening to him speak? Incredible. We have time for like one question. If anyone wants to ask Nick a question while he's here.
Yeah. Nick, I love what you're doing, but as it scales up, what happens is people sell off, then the people take over, and then they find the cheaper ingredients and do all of that. Or even if you keep it, how are you planning for sourcing this? There aren't enough farmers raising the cattle, God bless you, and you want to keep these ingredients at a high level. Are you looking, because you're growing so fast, are you going to be able to source?
We will definitely be able to source, and there's going to be no sacrifice on the ingredient quality, regardless of anything. Even in the tough times that we've experienced as a company, which we have many, especially when people were laying people off, SVB collapse, all these things, we were doing complete opposite. Everyone was getting laid off. I was like, I'm hiring everybody. You want to get rid of your top talent? Give them to us. And it's indicative too of what we'll do on the sourcing level. So even if sourcing is more challenging in different markets, we're going to find a way to do it. We have a brilliant head of agriculture, and he works with the best Texas farms. Just connected him with Weldon over here, so maybe we'll do something. But yeah, look, it's just a matter of being adaptable. But we will never sacrifice the quality of the food, even if it's more difficult.
I love it.
As long as I'm in charge.
All right, one more question. Anyone? Sure. Oh,
we could make
sorry.
2. We could stick it in.
They want to know when you're coming to Nashville.
Are you guys planning on keeping controlling interest, mainly just keeping corporate, or you guys want to do franchises or local as well?
Interesting you say that. Right now, focused on owning and operating every unit. Chipotle owns over 3,000 locations. They own and operate every single one, and they're valued at $57 billion. So it's possible. What's nice about that is you get to maintain the quality control of food, but nothing's impossible. Maybe we will look at a franchise model in the future, but right now we're so early that we still have to nail our systems to perfection before we could put it in the hands of somebody else. Realistically, so Miami's our next market. We fortressed Austin with 10 locations in 7 months, so we can take markets quickly. Austin, Miami, and then Nashville, Dallas are right after. So hopefully, a year.
We got to get you catering our event next year,
Definitely.
round 2 next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, dude, your energy is super infectious. You guys are really leading by example. It's incredible just to learn more about the mission, and just grateful to call you a friend, and thanks for doing this, man. Let's give it up for Nick.